How's it going, everybody? This is Martin Stokes here.
And this is Dean Scurry.
And I am a traveller.
And I'm a countryman.
Welcome to A Traveller
And a Countryman podcast. So do you want to introduce this episode?
So here we are today. It's episode 8, yes.
I love the voice that you do.
I'm Martin, yeah, and we have Dean over there in the corner.
Do the voice again. Do that
thumb,
one again.
He's got his thumb in his mouth and he doesn't know. He's all stuck for words.
Hello,
but
episode 8
at the same time, I'm stuck for words because I don't know what we're going to be talking about here this evening. We're just going to throw random stuff in whenever we can.
Happy days. How are you doing?
All good.
I see that the leg is up there. What's going on?
The leg?
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit sore at the moment, so...
Do you want to tell me about it?
Well, I don't know if I want to talk about the leg, do I? I don't know if that's important, is it?
That's very important.
I have the crutch looking after that, so I'm brand new.
What's up with the leg?
Actually sprained.
Is it?
Yeah. Went to the doctor a couple of times with it.
And the doctor come back to you and say
they gave me a few bits and pieces.
It's spraying. And what's the
They
spraying
gave me a few
from?
sleeping tablets because I was talking to him much. He said, hey, go home and take them home.
What's the spraying from?
Go home and take them, he said. Just walking out the door and twisted it.
Ah, very good.
That's nothing. It's nothing we're talking about, as a fellow would say. I'm only on the crutch 2.5 weeks now.
And you told me the other day you're heading off for a few days.
To Lourdes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Lourdes.
Excited?
Yeah, happy to go because we're going with the family. It's very nice. For about 5 days, please God. And it's something that I love doing. So, well, I haven't been doing it. I haven't done it for a while, to be honest. But it's something I'm looking forward to.
When's the last time you went to Lourdes?
Lourdes, 2009. Remember I said in my last podcast...
2009? How long is that? That's a long old time.
2009 now is 13 years.
Since you've been to Lourdes and you're going next week?
I'm going next week, yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go next year again.
Yeah.
And hopefully, please God, if I can do it at all, I'll go twice, please God.
Wow.
Because it's something I love to do. And plus the family loves doing it also. But, as I said, you probably wonder why we love it and not go on the last 13 years. Basically, we used to go... I've been in Lourdes now. The first time I went to Lourdes was in almost 30 years. 1993 would have been the first time.
So you were like 21.
Only a couple of years married, yeah, a young lad. Went over there and then we went back in 1996 again. Then we went over in 2000 again. Then we went over in 2009. Now, in between all of that, we would have went to a lot of places like, say, what you call it, religious grounds and places like that, you know what I mean?
Happy days. So,
areas.
Tonight, let's open it up. Let's talk about loads of random stuff. Feel free to ask me any questions because I know, like I've asked you loads of stuff over the last, 7 podcasts about you, about traveller culture, about your life, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So feel free to dig into me, into the settled fella, into the country fella.
The countryman.
Because, you'd be slagging me a lot and, ripping into me a lot. But I also think that you're interested in the way I think and the way I talk and the way I see the world.
Yeah, it's probably more about the way I'm being slagging you, is probably more about the way you look. You have that funny face about you. It's like one of them.
Yeah, one of them faces.
It's like the emojis on the WhatsApp. Yeah.
Say that again.
It's like one of them emoji faces on the WhatsApp.
Just round and smiley.
Yeah. We have a lot of sad ones there as well. So I was talking about the sad one. Yeah, Dean. I can't think of much to ask you about. Say cultural wise.
Yeah.
If I was asking about your culture, like, I guess the whole world knows about your culture because you're a countryman, you're a settled person. And we have that in all parts of the world, haven't we? I know we have travellers in all parts of the world also, but we're not going to talk about travellers tonight, right?
Yeah. Because
my head is just wrecked, completely wrecked, talking about travellers, yeah. No, it's actually interesting sometimes. But, yeah. In a countryman's world, basically, how would you be looked upon from, say, would you call yourself a yuppie or a poor man or a working class man or what are you?
I'm definitely not a yuppie. I'd be more like...
Although you try to be, yeah?
I'm very much working class. You can hear it in the accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we know. There's no
denying I've had a lot of experiences. I've travelled the world. I've been to loads of countries. I've been all across Africa. I've been all across Europe.
Yeah.
I've been to Australia. So I've been to America. I've seen the world. So culturally across the world, I would probably be seen as, white, European, educated.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Dean
Like,
Scurry, educated from Ballymun.
hopefully.
That's good.
So that's kind of in a Dublin context. I'm a North Sider. I'm from Ballymun, so I'm definitely working class. That's how I would be seen in like an Irish or a Dublin context.
So basically, do you feel comfortable in your own country? Let's put it that way.
Absolutely, I love Ireland. I absolutely adore it. It's in my heart, and I think Ireland is a special country. As in, people say they love their own country, but I think that Ireland is something special. I think Ireland is in a special place in Europe. We're all the way out on the edge. We have a different way of looking at the world. We're known for our kind of friendliness and our crack around the world.
Yeah, Ireland has a good reputation for that.
And I think that I would definitely at certain stages be in love with Ireland. And I know when I go to certain parts of Ireland, like the west of Ireland, some of the islands, my heart opens right up and I can just get a real connection with the country and with nature.
Very good. So tell me something. If you couldn't get no work in Ireland, what would you do? Would you emigrate?
If I couldn't get any work, well, I remember, I started work probably not as early as you. I think you were 12 when you left school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I went to college and all that type of stuff, but I've been working since I was like a young fella, since I was 10, 11, 12. Probably hard working at 14. I remember my dad teaching me how to drive his car at like 14, 15, driving to work.
Yes.
But we were also, to use a Dublin phrase, we were also on our arse. We were also broke at times, and I remember one time we were all in the dole office down in town. Yeah. Me, my dad, and me two brothers, me three brothers. Three of us standing there in a
so
dole.
So was that you that was in the film, The Family, the Irish film?
That was
all
us,
yeah.
So there was times when there wasn't work, and we kind of, there's not a lot you can do in a country when there's no work. You know what I mean? It's kind of very, it's poverty and having no work is kind of very depressing. There's nothing glamorous about it. Was
it depressing or was it embarrassing, Ma?
I don't think it was embarrassing because at the time everyone was in the same boat.
Situation, yes.
So nobody was different. So there was no comparison or going, see that family there, they're going off on a 2-week holiday to Spain or they're all out to getting new clothes. None of us had nothing, so we were all equal, which was great.
So basically, everyone was leaning on everybody's shoulders then.
Yeah, and if you needed something, you know the old stories. If you needed something, you knocked in next door. And I think we're not too far going back to that, which I think is going to be really interesting for this country.
So you were like slightly on the poverty line, as you call it.
Oh, we were definitely living in poverty at times.
Yeah.
And there was like peaks and troughs. There was moments when we were really, really low, but there was also moments then when my dad might have got a couple of jobs in and we'd have a few quid and we'd be able to afford a holiday or, fill the fridge for a couple of months in a row.
Yes.
And that just shows that we are working class people and that those are the things that we remember as kind of when we had a few quid, when we were flush, a little bit of excess. They were the highlights. When we could afford to go on a full family holiday for a week to Blackpool, we knew that there was a couple of quid in the bank there that we could save away. That every penny wasn't spent on getting grub in or putting heating in the house or putting clothes on the kids' backs.
Basically struggling and striving like.
Yeah. So there was times when we did struggle and strive, and but there was also times when we thrived. When we thrived as a community, when we thrived as a family.
Yes.
So if I couldn't get work in this country, one, I would think if somebody like me with the experience, skills and talents and resources that I have, I can't get work. Wow,
there goes Dean eating all the sugar lumps again.
I have no problem being confident. If someone like me can't get work in this country, we're in a shit show. We're in a dire situation.
Right, the question was, if you couldn't get, you love your country, don't you?
Yeah.
If you couldn't get work in Ireland, would you stick it out, or would you head abroad somewhere to find work, or is that a difficult question?
No, it's not a difficult question. I remember when I was, at certain points in my life, 20, 30, 40, and the opportunity or the situation in the country would people would be leaving, and I'd look around and go, well, you know what, I'm going to stay. I like my country. I think I can chance my arm at a few things. If I need to go on the dole, I'll go on the dole, but I can probably scrape along and get a few bits and bobs. But bearing in mind that I would have access to social welfare and social housing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you have social welfare and you have social housing, you can kind of get along on the
you
dole.
manage, yeah.
You know, your bill for your rent might be maximum £100 a week.
Right.
So I was never in a situation, for example, if I had a big mortgage and I lost a job and I was on my arse and I had to get out of the country. You know what I mean? I had to just throw all my cards on the table and leave the country. I've had loads of mates who had to do that over the last 30, 40 years.
What do you mean? Give up their jobs?
Give up their jobs.
Because they went to lower pay, is that it? Or
they would have lost their job.
Lost their jobs,
you
yeah.
know, this kind of happened, say, 15 years ago in this country.
Right, can I go back to for 1 second, please?
Yeah.
You're saying you had loads of mates
Yeah.
that had lost their jobs
Yeah.
and had to leave the country.
Yeah.
Right. Why did they have to leave the country?
I'm going to explain why they had to leave the country. So, just in this time around, in the last kind of financial crash globally, you would have had lads who were in jobs and they would have been in relationships and they would have gotten mortgages and houses. So they would have having a bill of, say, £800-900 a month. And, they'd have jobs, maybe 40 grand a year jobs. Mm-hmm. And then the whole financial crash thing happened. All the money fell out of this country and other countries like Greece and Spain and so on.
That's right.
And there wasn't any money for them to pay any of their bills or any of their mortgages. And they'd probably have young kids as well, you know what I mean? 1 or 2 young kids.
Yeah.
No money coming in, no prospects, maybe a life or a couple of maybe 5 or 10 years on the dole or in really low paid jobs. And the option would be stay here and, bring your family up in that environment or go to Canada or go to Australia or go to America or go to Germany, go to Berlin.
Basically, these had skills, like.
And it was at one point, and this wasn't long ago, where I'm not sure what the number is, but it was something like 50,000 people leaving Ireland.
What would be the biggest priority? And I want to say the biggest priority. What would be the biggest reason why people would actually want to leave Ireland just because their jobs? Like, right, fair enough. I understand not being thick about this.
Yeah.
That they lose their job, they're sort of this broke or down now, whatever it might be. But what would be the main reason? Would it be just to support the family, or would it just because they wouldn't be able to pay a mortgage and have a good car and have the luxuries that they desired?
I think job prospects, options and opportunities, I think that they would be the things. That people are looking around going, I've only got one chance with this family that I'm developing, that I'm growing here. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want to give these kids the best opportunity. Maybe some of the opportunities that I didn't have to excel in sport or excel in their education in college. I'm not going to get that in this country in the next 10 years. And by the time it does come around, my kids are going to be in their early 20s. You know what I mean? So the next 10 years is really, really important for my family.
Yes.
And the prospects, options and opportunities are just not there in this country. And they're not there often enough, and that it's not reliable enough. And I'm seeing people in Australia who are my age, who with my experience and my skills, earning 3 times the wage and being respected, being able to afford a mortgage, being able to afford to send their kids to college. Just not getting that in Ireland. I'm going to head off.
So is it the education for the kids, or the good lifestyle, if you want, for the kids when they grow up, or obviously trying to make stuff easier for them, yeah? Or is it the mortgage that's important? Which of them is important? I know without the kids, I can genuinely answer that for myself, but...
Yeah, well, I think, there's always been a thing in Ireland, own your own home. And 30 years ago, you could probably get a home. What was I? I was just gone 20 when I bought my first home, and it was like 70 grand.
You did?
Yeah.
Right. So
I was in a relationship with a girl, and we bought a home. It was like 70 grand.
Why was it so important to you to buy a house at 20 years of age?
Because there was houses being built, and the whole conversation, in Irish society was, get on the property ladder, buy your first home.
Yeah, but what was the main reason for that? Why are people so anxious to actually want to own their own home?
I think it's a bit of security.
And it doesn't come cheap.
I think it's a bit of security. And 40 years ago, you could buy a house in Dublin for 30 grand, which wasn't an awful lot of money. It was only... somebody's wage could have been 25, 30 grand a year.
A year?
Yeah. So it was only their wage. Now the difference is that a house is 6, 7, 8 times your wage.
That's right, yeah.
So back then it was accessible it was probably cheaper than renting, which it actually is
buy
now.
a house.
You know what I mean? To pay a mortgage off at like 600 quid a month, 700 quid a month, you owned the asset or you owned the house after 20 years. So it was something that you had, that you owned, that you could hand back to your children, or you could go to the bank manager and go, you know what, I'm going to open up a small business, and he'll say, well, what do you have as collateral? And you go, well, I own a €70,000 house there, and you'd be able to build on that. And it was about building on something. And I think culturally in Ireland, because of our history, and especially our history with England, our history with famine and so on, we've been we've owned nothing. We were totally insecure with no assets. And I think culturally over the last 100 years, the idea of owning your own home was interesting to people, to go, I could actually own something here and nobody could put me out.
Yeah. Well, that's one good reason for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about the idea of people, say, for instance, right, that'd be maybe a basic house, yeah?
Yeah.
What about somebody wanting, like, to own a good house, not having the money for it, having to pay maybe a mortgage for 25 or 30 years? Is that not taking up their life completely of paying a mortgage?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, a mortgage can take up your life. And then if you put 2 kids on top of that and their college expenses or their education expenses,
yeah,
you know, let's say we're talking about a middle class life.
Yeah.
You've probably got 2 cars that are like, whatever, 50 grand each. You've got probably, this is modern Ireland now, this is like 2022.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got a house that's probably €400,000.
Yes.
You've got an education in college for maybe 2 or 3 kids, which could be, you know, the price of college in this country is going up and up and up. It's nothing like America. Like in America, it could be 60 grand per year per kid. In here, you might get 3 kids through college for 60 grand a year. Like 60 grand a year is a serious amount of money.
Right.
I'm talking about the top colleges. If you're going for that, you know, upper middle class lifestyle in Ireland.
So if you're putting a couple of kids through college,
yeah,
it could cost you 60 grand a piece for them.
Right. No, 60 grand for the 3 of them, say, in this country.
Oh, for the 3 of them?
Yeah.
Why is college so expensive?
Well, it used to be free. And actually, I remember the first time I went to college, they paid me to go to college. It was free and they paid me.
Right.
You got a grant to go to college. They paid you to go. Now you have to pay to go. You have to pay for the privilege.
Right.
So the whole system of college has changed.
Right.
Not just in Ireland, but
so
all over the place.
Does that ring a bell then? It does. If the government was concerned about having people having education, say in Ireland, for instance, just say Ireland, right? I know it's all over the world now at this stage.
Yeah.
Do you not think that they could say, look, let's get people into college, because at the end of the day, we're building up our own country here, and it's only in education that's going to keep our country alive.
Yes, so that's the way we used to do it in Ireland. You know, we'd really pride ourselves on having a really high level of college graduate, or, you know, an education level in our schools and in our colleges and so on.
Yes.
That has changed over the last 15 to 20 years.
Why do you think it has changed?
For loads of different reasons. One is that the old jobs that used to be there are becoming less and less. Most of the big jobs are in like computer technology and pharmaceuticals and so on.
Right.
And also that they've learned, you know, from big industries and so on, that if you can get cheaper workers with the same education from different countries, from India, for example.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the college degree that you had in this country that was very valuable maybe 10, 15 years ago isn't valuable anymore.
All right.
It's not worth anything.
It's still expensive.
But it's expensive. Where before you used to be able to get it for free and it was worth something, now it's very expensive but not worth anything. So it's the 100% opposite. And it's kind of the same way that housing has gone in this country.
Yeah. So I was saying now that the people that go to college, obviously, as I said again, it is an expensive thing for them, right? Are they using their education in Ireland, or are they bringing it somewhere else then after that?
So now what's happening is that it's more attractive for them, or it's more realistic for them to leave, to go somewhere else.
Right.
And like that is a ridiculous thing for a country like Ireland to be doing, to letting all those really well educated people leave the country. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. But that's what we do.
Well, it boils back to the one thing you said earlier on about you love your country and basically you have this big education. How many years you put into college? 6 years, is it?
It depends on what you're doing. It's say a minimum 3, average is about 4 or 5, maximum maybe somebody who's doing, law or becoming
different
a doctor
degrees, like.
is about 10 years.
Right. Now, so you put all that time into a college in your own country, and when you finished all these degrees, you realise, look, it's what I do all this for. There's nothing here for me.
Yeah.
So you have to go whether you like it or not, if you want to be somebody in life basically after that.
You can get a really good education system here. It's not extremely expensive, but then when people get it, they leave.
Now, the other thing as well, do you know the colleges, yeah? Do they bring people like teachers from other countries into the colleges in Ireland to actually educate the people of Ireland?
Like there are teachers from other countries, but the wages here, one of the reasons other teachers wouldn't come here is because they probably don't pay good enough wages.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So they're not paying really good wages. Where if you go to a college in America and you're a professor,
Yes.
you get treated amazingly. You get everything sorted out. You get huge benefits. Those benefits aren't here in this country. So they'll get, just like in the hospitals, they'll get nurses and doctors from developing countries.
Oh, right.
And they'll pay them rather than paying the doctors and nurses or the teachers, professors, blah, 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 here really well. They'll treat them like rubbish. They'll try and remove all of their benefits.
The Irish
The Irish system, yeah. The Irish guys, yeah.
the Irish call them teachers, for instance.
Yeah. They'll try and remove all their benefits.
Right.
And this is across the board. This isn't just with, say, people in colleges or schools or hospitals. This is kind of across the board. This is what happens in this country.
So in all walks of life, basically.
In all walks of life, for all
walks of life.
Those kind of civil jobs, where you have teachers, fire brigades, guards, for example. Like guards in this country, right, are nearly on the poverty line.
Yeah?
Yeah. Fire brigade, ambulance drivers, all these jobs that we realised during COVID that we can't do without.
That's right.
Are living not far off the poverty line. There's no chance. Let's say you had a young nurse and a young guard and they got together and, they're on their wages. There is zero chance of them getting on the property ladder in this country.
Serious?
So it's just not going to happen. Then that's where we are.
Why is it not going to happen if both of them has jobs?
Because the rules about how to get a mortgage and the price of mortgages just make it impossible. So the rule is if the two of you are together and you can multiply your wages by 3, I think it's like 3, and that's the price of the mortgage that you can get.
Yeah.
So let's say you're on 35 grand a year and she's on 35 grand a year. That's 70,000 euro. That multiplied by 3 is just over 200,000 euro. Yeah?
Right.
You won't buy a house in this country for less than 300,000.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
So so that's two people who are servicing their own country, providing an amazing service, a nurse, a doctor, a fire brigade, a guard, who love their country. You know what I mean? Who sing the national anthem and who follow the team and who kids go to GAR and are learning the Irish language, but they cannot get a decent wage and buy a house in their own country.
But is that like a government law?
Is it like a government law?
I know the rules, but who sets the rules on that department?
Those rules about mortgages, I think, are set by the central bank. So here's what happened. In 2008, there was a global banking crisis. The central bank and all the other banks, like the Bank of Ireland and Anglo-Irish Bank, were all found out to be involved in in illegal practices. Yeah,
right.
The Irish people were told that we're bailing all those banks out, and then the central bank changed the rules about how we can apply for loans for houses. Yeah. So before that, what happened was if you were applying for a mortgage, you could get 100% loan, 100% mortgage from a bank, and you could actually get more. So that means if you were if you were buying a house for 200,000, you could actually get a loan of 210, 220, 230,000
to spend if you want the house.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And them doing that, but not. And then they were also giving out mortgages to people who they kind of knew we're never going to be able to pay them back. And they've done that for a number of years, for about 10 or 15 years. And then that and some other things caused the banking crisis in Ireland and around the world.
So the country collapsed, went into recession. Right. But why would they want to do this, though? Why would banks want to hand money out knowing they're not getting it back?
If we're going to go into why banks do what they do and what banks are about,
no, I don't want to go that far.
That's a whole episode in itself.
No, I understand that. I don't want to go that far anyway.
Because they're greedy.
Right. The other thing I was saying about the mortgage thing, yeah? Why? I know this is a sort of a silly question because I know not everyone would agree with this question, right? Why would a person want to be, say, as you might say, on the breadline, have a normal, average job, watch this, not this big, great job where they're going to afford everything bang on, yeah? And want to be struggling, say, trying to live for starters, and also bigger struggle trying to pay a mortgage for 30 years or whatever length it takes, yeah? Just to say, look, I own my own house. You don't really own your own house, do you?
No, what you own is the debt.
That's right, yeah.
That's what you own. You own the debt. You don't own the asset. The bank owns the asset. You own the debt.
So
and you're paying off the debt.
Is that not a worry or a pressure for a lot of people?
Absolutely.
Now, some people might have it easy, I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't think everybody has it easy.
No.
So is that not a pressure? You're thinking 30 years down the line, I'll own this house.
It is a huge
pressure. Then 25 years down the line, I might have to remortgage it for one reason or another.
Yeah. If
another 5 or 10 years.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you don't know them things, you see.
You don't know them.
Like you said, kids grow up, they want to go to college.
Somebody gets really sick.
Turn to you for, God forbid, for money, yeah?
Yeah.
And you say, right, the only way to do this, I don't have the money, but I'm going to remortgage my house.
Yeah.
And people have done that, haven't they?
It's very common, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, for all different kinds of things. I'm going to set up a business. Somebody got sick. Somebody passed away. You lost your job. All these types of things.
Is it not a bit easier, like, say, is life not a little bit easier to say, look, I have a job here. It's a good job. It's just about going to keep myself going and keep my family happy. And look, I'm going to settle into a house and I don't mind paying a few bob rent every week. Just to say that I don't own the house, I don't want the house because I don't need them pressures.
And that's the way we were going in this country. But the problem is there was no regulation in terms of how much your rent would increase the next year.
Now the rent is very high, I know, it's on certain places.
It's high because landlords were allowed to put up the rent whatever they wanted to.
That's right, yeah.
So you could go in and you go, right, your rent... 3-bedroom house in Santry in Dublin, right, okay, that's 800 quid a month. And then you go back at the end of the year and they go, well, that's now 1,000 quid. And then the following year, well, that's now 1,200. And this is the way it was going.
And they were allowed to do it.
And
no one to tell them, no, you can't do this.
No. There was no regulation, really.
Right.
There was no ceiling. There was no maximum. They could put up the rent whatever percentage they wanted. Now, since then, they have bringing in different rent controls, and they said your rent can't go up more than 4% a year.
Is that good or bad?
Well, at least you will know that next year, if my rent is 1,000 euro, that it can only go up by 4%. So what's 4% of 100 is 4. 4% of 1,000 is 40.
40.
You know what I mean?
So they can, sort of manager can accept that.
So it'll go up to maybe 1,100.
They're not waiting for the knock on the door with the landlord saying to you, look, your rent's gone up by 300 now.
Exactly. So where are you going to find 300 quid if you're doing childcare, if you're doing tax and insurance on the cars, if you've booked that little holiday over in, the north of Spain or something like that with your family, if the kid is coming into college, if you've got your insurance for the car coming in and your wife has to get her teeth done and, you know what I mean? You have to pay your VHI, health insurance and all this. You want to be looking at your books going, I think we'll be all right next year. You don't want to be surviving week by week by week.
Yeah.
And that's basically where everybody is, not just week by week, almost day by day. People in this country are looking at the money coming in and the money going out going, this isn't going to work.
Did that not happen there where, basically back in the time of the recession, yeah? Well, a lot of people thought they were actually better off on the dole. It was easy for them.
Absolutely. This, like,
when I say
we
easier,
live in a community
easier.
here and, you know what I mean? the unemployment rate in this community, I think at its highest was like 26%. But the whole country was heading that way. People were, on the radios and in the newspapers going, it's actually cheaper for us to be on the dole.
It was, yes.
With the cost of living in this country. And that was a couple of years ago. And now the cost of living has doubled, tripled. And, towards the end of this year, the big story in the news is November, December, January, February.
Could be recession.
It's going beyond recession.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Recession is a certain thing, is a certain description of how the economy is working in a country. But we're going beyond recession or depression. We're going back into the dark ages, back into the worst days of the 80s.
Well, they don't want to be putting people's nerves going and having them thinking like that, do you know what I mean?
Well, if
it happens, nothing they can do about it.
There is something they can do about it.
Is that for us to announce now, no?
But there is, it's not me, this is all over the news.
Is it, yeah?
Sure, you keep on sending me articles all the time from different newspapers going, this is happening and that's happening.
So you're frightened about that, Dean, are you?
I'm not frightened at all, no.
No,
I know a lot of travellers, I'm very resourceful.
I did hear one or two things about a recession on the way, but there's one good thing about the recession.
Yeah.
It won't affect the poor, because now why?
Yeah, we're there already.
We're going to be treated the same way anyway. It makes no difference.
The ups and downs on the roller coaster doesn't really affect the poor too much, because we're there.
That's right.
We're on the bottom already.
It'll affect the men with the suits and the ties and
the helicopters and the swimming pools and the cocaine habits.
Yeah, and they're like, say for instance, they're on whatever 500,000 or 600,000 a year, and they're crying about maybe 50,000 getting cut off their wages, or 40,000 or whatever amount it is.
Yeah.
But yet, poor people have to live on maybe 20, 30 or 40,000 through the whole year, and that's including paying every bill that comes
I'm
their
getting
way.
a bonus of 50 grand a year. I'm not even earning 50 grand a year.
That's the beauty of it for myself and the poor people like us.
Yeah, it creates a level playing field very quickly.
It won't affect us because we're used to a struggle. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think we live in struggle and we thrive in struggle sometimes.
So God help them poor them. God help them.
God bless them.
No, God help them poor rich guys. The poor rich guys, huh?
I think it's going to be really interesting.
It will affect and has affected.
Like,
not that they'll ever be poor anyway, no matter how much they're affected.
No.
But it's just that they can't handle it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
That when the knock does come,
yes,
it's probably only be 1/10 of their assets that they miss out on.
Yeah,
but that knocks the shite out of them.
Look at all the fights and disputes there for the last, not now, but go back, say when the recession was there, yeah, and all these highly paid, say newsreaders or say them programs, say talk shows and all that sort of stuff.
All the hosts
on the radio, on the TV, you name it.
Like
they were the talk of the town, as a fellow would say. Because
who's some of the names in this country? The Ryan Tubridy's.
The big lads, the big with the money, money, yeah.
Who was your man who used to do the Late Late Show as well?
Pat Kenny used to do it.
Pat Kenny, all these lads.
Yeah.
The other fella.
But it wasn't just them, it was loads of radio
channels. What was his name?
They were fighting about, there was always a dispute about the RTE channels and whoever was paying them, the BBCs or whoever was controlling them, yeah?
The money that they were getting.
And every single day there was something on about... such a one is in dispute about they won't want to take a cut on their wages, basically.
Yeah.
They could be on, like at the time, they could be on 800,000 or 900,000 a year, and maybe they might be asked to take what do you call it?
A 5% cut.
Whatever. We'll just say maybe a 50,000 cut, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was nothing to the money they were getting, yeah. And they were moaning and groaning and fighting about. And at the end of the day, all they were doing was talking. The only host on a talk show. They weren't putting gold on people's plates and sending them home with it. They were only on a TV show on the other side, whether it be radio or TV. It was still only talk.
Those people are really important in this country.
They are important. They make them important. And at the end of the day, it was the public that was keeping them in them seats.
So we love those people in this country. We love the Gay Borns and the Pat Kennys and the Miriams and all these types of people. And who's your the Joe Duffy and all that?
Do you love them, Dean? You do?
No, not really. But
I haven't got the biggest interest in the world now. I'm more concerned.
They're on
people,
some game, aren't they?
I'm more concerned with people living in poverty and hunger. That's what I'm more concerned about.
They're on some game.
Right, we're back anyway where we were a while ago, yeah?
Yeah.
About all these people, right? Obviously they're going to put the hand out if it's put into their hands, right? But the thing about it was, what I couldn't understand was, they were living the life of luxury, yeah? It was poor people at home that was keeping their shows alive, because if they didn't have viewers, then they were no good to the RTE studios.
That's what
or
I'm
the
saying.
BBC
We love them. We keep
studios.
them in there.
Yeah, but yet they were crying about taking cuts on their pays.
It's like footballers falling
when it
over on
came
the
to it.
pitch and crying about getting
And
a touch of it.
there was literally more talk about them, and more, let's say, conversation, more news, televised, whatever you want to call it, yeah, about them, than what it actually was about the poor people suffering in Ireland.
But nobody cares about the poor people. What are you talking about?
This is the point I'm trying to make. That's where it overshadowed all the hardship.
But that's the point of
that
having
was
those
going
people.
on in Ireland.
That's the point. It's like the point in having these football celebrities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who are on £1 million a year. It's one of the reasons I stopped watching football when I was about 14. Because I realised my dad, who was my superhero, was on in 1 year what these lads were making in a week.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're the stupid working class people who put these people on these pedestals, paid them the big money, and listened to them giving out about I'm after being tripped up on a football pitch, or I couldn't build a wall outside me big posh house in Dalkey.
Yeah,
and we give them front page news.
Basically made them feel important.
We're the ones doing that.
Them feel important.
So we're the fools here. And I think it's great. I think it's genius. I think we blame them for that, but actually we're the ones who are keeping them in the role.
Yeah, that's right.
And like I'm going to go back to Ireland. I love Ireland, but there's a bit of Ireland that needs to cop on and wake up a little bit.
Yeah, another funny thing about it all, right? Well, most of it anyway. It's only a talk show. You don't have to be a super genius like or what do you call it? Oh, there's a few words.
There's no intelligence required. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's only a chat, because at the end of the day, even if you're talking to somebody, for instance, right, you have just say a talk show there, right, and the host is whoever they are. I'm not going to be naming them anyway, but look, there's always somebody there, and they can bring actually anybody onto that show, and the person they can bring onto that show sometimes might not have a clue what they're talking about. They don't have to be educated, they don't have to be intelligent, because the conversation is going to come out anyway. So why would we be getting paid so much serious money just to have a chat?
Did you watch any of these shows?
I don't watch them. When I say I don't watch them, I've come across them. Yes, I know they're there. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I often did watch them when I think there might be something interesting coming on, and how they advertise them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, if there's something.
So the number one show in this country for years was one of them shows, the Late Late Show.
Yeah, the Late Late Show. I tell you when I used to like the Late Late Show.
And all it was Gay Bourne or Pat Kenny or Ryan Tubridy having a chin wag with somebody or a couple of people.
I used to like the Late Late Show when Gay Byrne used to be on it.
He had a bit of charisma.
You have to give it up to him. He was a great entertainer.
Yeah, he had a bit of charisma.
He wasn't just a chatter. He was a great entertainer.
Now, we were paying him mega bucks for the privilege.
Yeah.
He was living up in a big swanky house, wherever up in Hout, while you were living. Now, I'm gonna get real here for a second.
In the dumps.
While you were living in a car park in Ballymun.
That's right.
He was living up in a swanky house up in Hout. Now, they say don't talk ill of the dead, and I'm not talking ill of them, but
I wouldn't.
What I'm saying is that's what we do in this country. We pay these people's massive, luxurious, lavish lifestyles while we live in the dumps.
Yeah, but what I was saying was, apart from Gay Byrne, right, as you said, the man is dead now, God rest him, right? The thing about it was, they're not going to say, these people that's doing these talk shows are not going to say no to whatever money they're offered. But they do say no, and they cry and they grumble about it when they're asked to, say, for instance, take a pay cut just to maybe help some other section or some other area that needs helping.
So here's an interesting
question. So they're actually not willing to take a pay cut.
So here's an interesting
knowing
question.
That they're still getting a serious amount of money every year.
So you asked me at the start of this, what do we think about Ireland, blah, blah, blah. What do you think that these people think about Ireland?
I think what they think is that if they didn't have the right jobs that they have, or they weren't getting the money that they were getting, they would turn their backs on Ireland like a light.
They'd be gone in a second.
They'd gone some other country.
Bono used to get the slaggings over that all his tax affairs were outside, and U2's tax affairs were outside.
Yeah, but don't forget, Bono does some great stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
But he still used to get stick that, he turned his back on Ireland, that he didn't pay his tax here. Now, I don't know if that's fair or true.
No, he's probably right if he did, because know why? Because at the end of the day, he's a man that works all over the world, not just in Ireland. He wasn't just...
And he's also from a country where there's an awful lot of greed and corruption.
That's right.
And you're putting your taxes into what?
Yes.
Into brown envelopes to pay off people.
So we all know Bono does great work out there. Not just a singer. He has concerns for people. I never hear him crying about... I don't think I've ever seen him once on the news or on the papers crying about money or what wages he gets or what he doesn't get or who he gives it to.
No, I've heard a lot of people crying about the money he gets and
you've heard a lot of people talking about him.
Yeah,
but remember I told you before we're living in a world, a country of begrudgers and judges.
So me and you are begrudging and judging these types of Ryan Tubridy's.
No, I'm not. Absolutely not.
Well, you're saying that if they didn't get the wages, they'd be gone in a heartbeat.
That's 100% they would.
So is that not you begrudging?
No, it's not begrudging. I'll tell you why. You see, if you have a man there, right, it's on a basic wage. Watch this now. Say you're right, you're on the dole, for instance, and you have a man, just say he's your neighbour, if you want to put it that way, and he has a normal job, he's a decent man, and he has a family to look after, yeah, he might have a nice car, he might be paying a mortgage on his house, he might have the basics in life. Why would you begrudge at him? You have to be happy for him. And also, if you can do the same thing, be happy for yourself. But you can't take that away from him just because you can't do it. But what I'm talking about is, if you're sitting on a chair and you have millions of people watching you every day from a screen, from the rooms, yeah? If all of them people turn their TVs off, you're out of a job. For starters. Now, the government or whoever is over is saying to the TV companies, look, you're paying these people way too much money, more than they need. We'd like you to do what the rest of the country is doing here. We'd like to make a small cut on their wages so we can put it into a treasury box here and help out other parts of our country or other people in our country or other situations which is in more need of it. Then you talk about that person. Because why? Because they're scrounging and they're greedy and they're hungry. Because they have too much of it.
Exactly.
And they know if you're on a wage for $900,000 a year... Now, I'm talking way above my head over here, right? I'm talking money. It's stupid in a sense. But the point about it, what I'm trying to make is here. We have millionaires crying about their wages. The best way of saying it.
But
we have poor people struggling, barely trying to manage from week to week. Yeah? But you don't hear them crying.
But
all they do is get on with it.
Those millionaires,
all they do is get on with it.
Love their country.
What I'm saying is, all they do is get on with it and try their best. And take from day to day and just live and take life as it is. You don't hear them grumbling and crying and shouting about this money and that money and this happened and that happened. The rich folk, yes, you hear them at. A lot of them at it. And not every one of them, but a lot of them. And mainly the damn talk shows, a lot of it. And it's pointless saying they didn't.
talk shows. And
yes. So therefore...
But if we were to ask Ryan Tubridy, Ryan, do you love Ireland? Are you proud to be Irish and do you think it's an amazing country? He talked for an hour about it. He go, I love this, and
that's right.
My heart is full of this. And
you know
I love
why,
the west of Ireland, and my family, his historical roots in Ireland. And
do you know why?
Go on.
Because he gets paid to talk.
Yeah.
So what else? If you're getting paid to talk, you're going to talk. Talk till the cows come home.
So you reckon if he got his P45 tomorrow and he said...
No, we're not attacking Ryan Tubridy here. Not him, in particular.
That role, that type of person in Ireland, the Irish... TV celebrity, the RTE celebrity.
Yeah.
There's loads of them. There's 10, 15 that we could manage.
Yes, that's right. But the moral of the story was the greed part of it, where they weren't willing to take cuts on their pays, where other poor people... Yeah, here, look, let's put it this way. People that had no work, there was no work in the country for anybody, whether you wanted to work or not. And we have a big unemployment margin, yeah? Right. But yet, the people who were unemployed... did take big cuts on small wages, as we call it, column wages from the dole basically.
Yeah.
This includes travellers and settled people because it's a majority, it's not a minority at this stage. So now you have poor people who are on the dole, trying to manage from day to day again, as I said, but yet you didn't hear them moaning and groaning about their claims being cut down to a certain...
I don't know, if you tune into Joe Duffy, you get an awful lot of people moaning.
No, but maybe they have no choice.
Yeah.
Here, don't they have reason to mourn?
Not that I tune into Joe Duffy.
No, but it doesn't make a difference.
I think it's brutal.
They do have reason to mourn. Like there years ago, there was say a single person, right, could get say $200 a week on the dole. Let's say this, right?
Yeah.
Now watch. that single person will have to pay whatever bills they had to pay through the week, yeah? We're not going to go into big details about bills, right? But anyway, they automatically cut that in half, which was €100 a week for any single person to try to survive on that, yeah? Which, believe me, wouldn't have been very, very easy, okay? Now you have a man sitting on a high chair with a big camera stuck in his face, the whole country looking in, watching him, we'll see what he's talking about tonight, yeah? He's on a wage of about 900,000 a year, yeah? And yet they want to cut him 2%, and he nags about.
So cut him 50%.
Cut him 50%. Bring him down to what do you call it? Bring him to his normal senses. Why not?
Yeah.
Help somebody else out there. It was never a person on the dole.
Look, yeah,
There's always somebody. We have elderly people that need help, and don't get me wrong, elderly people were cut their what you call it, people that worked all their lives were cut money off their pensions. Is that right? They didn't moan or groan about. They just said, yes, if somebody else needs a bit of help and if that can do some good for somebody else, why not go ahead and do it? Absolutely. Because they knew they could still try to manage no matter how they manage. Do you know what I'm saying about that, yeah?
Yeah, I get it. So there's a few things going through my head. One is, Ireland is an amazing country, but we allow people get away with stuff. We allow greed. We're not sure what to do about it, because anytime we talk about it, we're called moaners and begrudgers and so on. We love our country, but sometimes we're forced to leave. The options and opportunities that you would imagine would be available in this country, the country that we love, the country that we're all so proud of, we can't thrive in it. That's one of the most frustrating things, I think, about Ireland. It looks great from the outside. The stories are amazing. The language, the Celtic story, the poetry, the playwrights, the myth, the romantic stories that are told about Ireland look great from the outside, but living here can be torture, and I love it. And it breaks your heart. You travel around this country and you want to cry looking at the landscapes. They're amazing. They open up your heart. But there's so much bullshit, greed and corruption and backhanders and brown envelopes that it'd turn you off Ireland. It would really turn you off Ireland.
But who's affected by it the most? Would you say the kids of Ireland are affected by the most? Like we're talking about now about young people going to colleges.
Yeah.
They're affected because it's too expensive for them.
Absolutely. Anybody who needs any kind of decent health care is affected.
The elderly are affected because if they have an old pension, it's getting cut belonging to them. Obviously, the unemployed, as I said earlier on, it won't affect the poor people, but it won't affect them to a certain degree because we're used to it, you see. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're genuinely used to it. It will affect, most of all, it will affect the guys with the bigger checks.
What will?
The recession.
Oh, recession
if it ever comes in, or poor times, which probably will. We don't know that yet.
A recession is interesting because it creates a level playing field. Those people who live in excess and that we throw money at just for mild entertainment on our screens once a week, we throw these lavish amounts of money at. If we go into a really bad recession, I think that hopefully that they'll get a wake-up call as well.
I don't think so.
No? Do you think that they've so much they've protected themselves so well that no matter what happens in this country, they'll always be in a comfortable position? Yeah,
there's a name for that in there where I can't think of the name, but honestly, there was a word for it where they sort of stack up, they stack up like is it bonds or something?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. The rich man will never go hungry. He might step down a few steps in the ladder.
Bonds and shares and securities.
Yeah,
and
he'll
all
never go hungry because the thing about it is, the rich man say he's no problem just jumping on a plane and setting up camp in another country and bringing all his money with him. You see, where the poor man doesn't have that choice or opportunity. He stays where he is. And he sticks through it. He just ploughs through it.
But loads of poor people emigrated. That's what emigration in this country. Yeah, historically, that's what we've done.
No, poor people emigrated for the reasons we talked about, because they want to better their lives a little bit. So they're going out there to find work
So these people
What
have
about the
realised, if
poor-
I stay here, I'll have a better life. If I stay here,
No.
I could be a multi-millionaire.
You have the poor man. Yeah, there's another way of looking at this. You have the poor man with the education
Yeah.
who says, "Look, I am going to move out." And when I say the poor man, what do you call a working class man? Isn't it?
Yeah.
He's going to say, "Look, I will leave here because I know there's an opportunity out there for me, and I'm going to take a chance on it." But you have the poor man, as again, let's say he's on social welfare, which we have thousands and top of thousands of people on social welfare. And as I said, it's not just travellers, it's settled people also, right? But that poor man doesn't have opportunities. He doesn't have a choice. He
No,
can't
his
just
options,
say,
his options and opportunities
they're limited.
are almost zero.
yes. So this is what I'm saying. He stays and he ploughs through it
Yeah.
till he gets out the other end at some stage. Where the rich man doesn't have to think about all of that. He doesn't have to think about it.
So one way
All he
that
has to think about is, where's my next ticket? I'm out of here.
I'm going
to
to
set up
that
a business in another country. And that's what they do.
So one way I look at that is that you have some people who are born with the wind at their back,
Yes.
and some people who are born with the wind in their face,
Pushing them back, yeah.
and that's just random. Nobody chooses where they're born or what they're born into. You know what I mean? So if you're born in upper middle class Ireland in, say, Malahide, or you're born in working class Finglas, that's just random. But I think that what happens is that certain areas or certain groups of people have throughout their lives less or more opportunities and options. And what people who, like you said, say the educated working class man, what he's looking for is options and opportunity in his life, so the wind will be less in his face and more on his back. And that kind of balances out. And people do go off to Canada, America, Australia, and they thrive, and they come back and they set up businesses here.
Yes.
Or they stay there and they buy 2 or 3 houses, and you hear great stories about that all the time.
Yeah,
but
that's
then you
right.
also have people who are always going to be on the bottom of the ladder, underneath the ladder, on rung -1 on the ladder. Those people are the people who we keep the likes of the RTE guys in business, because we're watching the TV shows, listening to the radio, and watching the football matches, and keeping the rock stars in business, because we don't have anything else. Because this mild form of entertainment is the only thing we have to keep us.
That's right.
Keep us going.
Keep entertained.
That's really, really interesting.
Okay,
the people who have least keep the people who have most in their
In the
positions.
seat, that's right.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. So tell me something though, right? If you were, say you were on the dole, yeah? Right. Straight away we're into recession, right? Would you get up and leave Ireland? No, the other thing I meant to ask was,
Go on.
you have no education,
Yeah.
but you're on the dole, you're used to hard times, and you say, look, if I go to England and I go to wherever I want to go to, wherever I can go to, I'm going to still be on the dole. Would you leave Ireland?
So you're asking me now,
I want to ask you 3 questions. That's one of
So
them.
you're asking me now at this age?
No. I'm just saying at any age.
At any age.
Whether it make a difference or not.
I would imagine what I would do is I would look at where's the place that I could get the best chance, that has the most opportunities. I wouldn't go to a place that had the same level of opportunities or less. I would go to the place that had the most opportunities.
if you had an education,
Yeah.
and you run into recession, and you loved Ireland, like you said, would you still leave it?
I would have a look around at the opportunities.
If work around here wasn't,
If there was no work around here,
would you leave Ireland?
it would depend on whether or not if I was on my own, you could probably survive easier here, but then you could also get up and go. But if you were here and you had a family and you were looking in your kids' eyes and you were going, if I stay here, these kids have no chance.
But
I think you'd be gone.
Okay. So if you were a rich man, yeah, and you had businesses up and running, and we run into recession, and your business starts collapsing, that would destroy your, let's say, your company account, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Would you get up and leave, or would you still stick around?
I think if you're a businessman, you're looking all the times for where is the best place to make profit, where's the best opportunities and options
So
for
you
me.
would leave.
I think what most of them do is that they would leave.
Right. That was what I was talking about,
Yeah.
was the opportunities that different people have at different levels in life. Do you understand? So basically, who's most affected and who's not. So regardless, if you're a rich man, you have loads of business up and running, yeah, into recession and your business sort of slightly collapsing, it's not going to make you a poor man overnight, right? So it means you're still a rich man, but you have the opportunity to go into any country you want to set up that business again.
And I think that's one of the differences. Somebody who is really well off, they're not limited by the borders of their own country, or they're not limited by the borders of their own community. They're limitless. They can go anywhere and do anything in the world. They can actually move from one type of business to another, from one country to another, pick up another language. Let's go to China. Loads of Irish business people have done this. Let's go to China, learn Chinese in 12 months and then set up in China, because we have the money to be able to do that, to be able to maintain a lifestyle at a certain level. Those options and opportunities are available to people who have access to the resources, to the money. If you've got wealthy friends and families in different countries, it's easier for you to go. If you've got an auntie who lives in Los Angeles, you know, and you're a poor working class fella in Ireland, you can go there. You can do that, but
you sort of get a foot in the door there, like.
Yeah, but I think there's more options and opportunities and potential for you to succeed. The more access you have to wealthy communities and wealthy networks of people.
Yes.
And then also you've got more kind of places that you can chance your arm, or different fields that you can go into. Like in a working class community, you know, what have you got? You've got brickies, scaffolders, car mechanics.
Yes.
You might have some firemen. Those types. That's the types of jobs in those communities. But if you go out then, you know, doctors, nurses, solicitors, barristers, I think you've got more access to a wider variety of job types that you can go to.
Well, there's a difference in the doctors, the barristers, the solicitors, especially doctors. Doctors play a very, very important role in people's lives. And for them to have have a good job and get a high pay on it, I think they will deserve it. Being honest.
To a point, like in this country, sometimes we get held to ransom by consultants and really high-powered doctors. You know what I mean? And that they realise that we can hold this government or these people over a barrel here, and you know, get ridiculous amounts of money. That does happen as well.
Yeah, but you got to give up to the doctors, and I said the nurses, aren't they doing a great job? Are they doing a very, very...
I think there's a middle level in doctors and nurses that do really, really great work, that they're stretched beyond belief. But there's an upper level of doctors and consultants and so on.
Yeah, but no matter how we look at it,
who point blankly take the piss, like.
Right, but would you if you were sitting on a seat, yeah, in front of a TV crew, yeah, and people all around the whole country is watching you on the television, and you're just talking, yeah. But you have a doctor in certain hospitals, and he's treating patients, he's looking after them, he's doing the best for them, and whatever. Where's the most important job there? Which of them two jobs is the most important?
No, I understand that, and we're on the same page. What I'm saying, even in the doctor's thing, there are consultants, for example, who are ripping the piss out of the system. You know what I mean? But
not every doctor.
No. In the middle ranks, those people are working really, really hard and not getting paid really well. Okay? But on the upper levels, in the management levels, in the consultancy levels, there's people up there doing next to little or nothing and getting paid huge amounts of money and huge bonuses. Just like in any of those industries, in the banking industry or in the tech industry. And a lot of those big positions are kind of family connections and handed down and brown envelopes and all this type of stuff. Yes. They're not really necessarily the hardest working or the most educated for the role. Just like those sweet jobs that you have in the RTE. Those people are really, you know, what skills do they actually have other than they're connected into different families? And we all realise, everybody from the top all the way down to the bottom and back up, that during in COVID or during a global pandemic or during a recession, the people at the bottom of the ladder are the most important. The fellas who take out the bins, the men and women who do their sewer systems, the fire brigade. So that, for me, that's Ireland.
They're important people, though.
Those people is Ireland. Those people are the people that I think
that are keeping the country alive,
keeping the country running, that we cherish, but we don't pay them. We pay them people 30, 40, 50 grand a year.
Yeah.
We pay the other people 30, 40, 50 grand a year bonuses. You know what I mean? The celebrities, the high-paid management, the footballers, the rock stars, the high-end politicians. Like some of the politicians in this country, some of the experts in like different departments and so on, they're on more money than presidents in other countries.
Serious.
Yeah.
But the hard grafters are not even noticed.
The hard grafters are watching football, listening to the radio,
Yes.
watching the RTE. You know what I mean?
This is in their spare time, basically.
Yeah.
But when they have their hard days
feathering
work
the
done.
nests of all these other people. The real hard grafters, the lads and the men and women who are commuting
keep
an
the
hour and a
country
half to
afloat.
work every morning, who are struggling to pay their rent,
Yes.
who are working 12, 13, 14-hour shifts night after night after night.
Fair play to them.
They're the ones who...
They're the real people, aren't
They're the
they?
real people, but they're being suckered into buying mild entertainment and watching the football on a Saturday.
Yeah, well, apart
because
from
they
the
don't have
football-
the time or the energy to do anything about
Apart
it.
from the football anyway, they're not even recognised, are they?
No, we definitely don't recognise them. No, we gave them a clap. We all put a candle in our window and clapped for 30 seconds during the global pandemic as a way of saying, we'll clap for you, but we won't give you a bonus. We
Yes.
won't pay you 120 grand a year. Not a hope. We won't increase your wages by 2, 3, 5%.
We'll cut them for you.
We'll cut them for you. Oh, we'll cut your wages all day.
Yeah.
You know, we'll challenge
We'll cut them 4 times a year.
We'll
How's that?
challenge your working conditions and we'll up your rent. Yeah, no problem at all. The RTE lads, their ratings are through the roof. Like nobody's watching you, Nurse Joanne in Beaumont Hospital.
So do
Nobody
you
giving a
think-
rat's about you mad joke.
Do you think if the government put more into the country, that they get more out of it? Instead of taking more out of it?
Okay, so some countries in the world that are held up as the best examples of how to do this are the Nordic countries. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, those types of countries. Those countries or those societies is where there's money is constantly put back in. Your tax receipt, it shows you exactly where all your tax went to. You know what I mean? 5% went on the roads, 5% went into the hospitals,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
It's all outlined, basically.
It's all outlined, it's all transparent, it's all really, really clear. This is exactly where your money is going to. We don't have that in this country. The money that we pay goes into...
No, we don't
goes
have
into-
it in this country because it's all pushed under the mat.
Yeah, under the carpet, under the mat, into black holes, into huge projects that are, you know, that never happen, or if they do happen, the price has gone up 5, 6, 7.
I take for
7%.
that's the
7
one thing I
times,
wanted
I mean.
to say. Take for instance, right, to have a budget every year. Is that right? In Ireland, yeah. They, for instance, cigarettes. They put the price of cigarettes up. They put the price of fuel up, whether
Yeah.
it be diesel, petrol, or gas, whatever. They raise the price of electricity. Yeah. So to do all these things in a small margin, but it means a lot in the end, yeah. And then they tell you then, all right, we're putting, we're rising this thing so much, whether it be supposed to be good for you, like, if you know what I mean. Say working class people, they get a £5 a week extra on their wage, or very, very small, right? But they take it back on about, if they give something, they're actually not giving nothing in the first place, because they're taking it back of about 20 different things.
Yeah, so it's all a
throughout-
song and dance, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, they're taking it back on about 20 different things throughout the region. So basically, we're not giving here, we're actually taking here.
Yeah, but you're too dumb and distracted and
Yes.
knackered, tired.
Yeah, you don't give a damn
from
anyway.
working 14-hour shifts
Yeah.
to even be able to complain. Never mind realise
That's right.
that we're putting €2 in your front pocket, but taking €10 out of your back pocket.
100%, and that's exactly how it is. And that's
So
how
welcome to Ireland.
that's how it
welcome
always
to
has
welcome to
been.
the country that we love, that we don't want to leave, that we want to fight for, that's in our hearts, that's in our blood, that we sing for.
But they keep taking from the people. They don't give. They keep taking.
What are you giving out about?
Well, it's not about the giving out part. It's about, look, it's not giving the people a chance to live.
So what?
It's not trying to. It's not.
Martin, so what? What are you talking about?
What I'm trying to talk about here is that they're not. They're not giving the country a chance to develop.
So what? I'm going to come
I
back to
know.
this.
I understand it. Don't care. I know that's so what that's into it. Is they don't.
What's it got to do with you, me, or them? They're making a mint.
That's right.
They're getting away with this.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Get back in your box.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do, how much you protest. You don't even vote. You've no education. We don't even recognise who you are. We've got big walls around our house. The cocaine is better. We'll slag you off for all the drugs that you take. Our holidays are better. We only live near you in order to point the finger at you to say that we're better than you. You listen to all our crap TV shows and our crap radio shows. So will you stop giving out and just get on with it?
Yeah, that's what
Your back is broken, but it's broken for a reason. It's broken so we can stand on it and reach the higher heights that you'll never even imagine.
Yeah.
So shut up, will you?
Yeah. It's true, isn't it?
Welcome to Ireland.
Yeah, well, they don't care. That was nice. I enjoyed that little speech there.
That was beautiful.
That's
where we're at.
Dean was feeling like a celebrity there. All we needed was the cameras on him.
Oh, I'm telling you, that is where we're at. That's
you
Ireland.
felt a bit like one Ryan Tuberty or some of the one that we were talking about earlier.
That's Ireland summed up. It'll rain for 4 months of the year. We might get a weekend of sunshine, but shut your trap and get back in your box.
Yeah, that's how it is, isn't it?
Go on, Ireland.
That is the reality of it.
I tell you
anyway,
what.
who are we to talk in the first place? You're right.
Who are we? We are people. We are beautiful, lovely, heart-warming people. We're two men who've connected through these conversations, who will probably, through our honest conversations, get into the heads and hearts of some people around this world to say, you know what? We are just taking this, aren't we? We're actually the suckers here. We're the fools who are playing along with these lads' games, and all we have to do is just turn off our tellies.
It's strange how we were actually, say the conversation we just had here now, right, for the last whatever hour or so. It's strange how we're only just talking about the reality of situations, like, isn't it?
Yeah, what do you mean?
About what you just said there now about really what they're saying is, yeah, shut up, close your mouth, none of your business, nothing got to do with you. We don't care what you think. We don't care where you come from. We don't care who you are.
We don't. There's nothing to see here.
We'll give you thumbs up.
Shut up and give me all your taxes.
We give you thumbs up and smile at you, but you really mean nothing to us.
No. We'll thump the head off you in a protest. I don't care who you are. I don't care who your grandfather was and what war that you fought in. It doesn't really matter. You're not in our gang. You didn't go to our schools. You're not playing on our rugby teams. You don't come from the corner of Dublin that we come from. You actually come from the other corner of Dublin where all the homeless drug addicts are.
And
you talk with that stupid accent.
And also it's what makes it a sad world, isn't it?
But it's a beautiful world because we're able to talk about it. We do have freedom of speech. We can talk about it. That's what we're doing in this podcast.
It's beautiful the way we see things, but the way they see things is actually sad.
Yeah, it is. I know a fella who's really well known in Ireland, and he's from kind of that world. You know what I mean? That really privileged Dublin 4 RTE world. And he was out swimming with us before on the north side here in Howth, and he was going, we're actually really jealous of you because you have freedom.
He said.
Yeah, we don't have freedom where we are. We're locked into this bullshit game. He said, you have freedom, you have swagger, you have the accent, you have the balls to talk about what you want to talk about.
Serious?
He said, we're all shit scared to say anything over here.
So was he a traveller?
No, but if I said his name, everyone in the whole country would know him going, oh my God.
I wouldn't.
But there's loads of them like that. There's loads of them.
Maybe there's no need for names.
No, there's no need for names. I'm just using that as an example. There's loads of guys like that.
Yeah,
caught up in that whole world.
So the reality is they are tied down to.
They're tied down to this game of you're only valued if your family is this family, or if you have this name, or if you have this type of job, or you've gone to the RTE, or you've performed at this school, or something like that. That's only really where you get your value from. And what we know is where we get our value from is from inside us, from our community, from our families, from our love for each other, from our ability to go through any type of adversity and come out with a smile and a wink.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably more important in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. And that's what I love about Ireland. I know there's all this other shallow, veneer, thin layer of fake RTE, celebrity, glitziness. But I also know richness is underneath all that. The earth, the soil, the songs, the stories, the community, the connection, the language, the crack, the people. That's what I love.
Yeah.
And you won't drag me away from that. You won't drag me away from that.
So do you not think you've already been dragged away from that thing? No?
Absolutely not.
What?
Because I come and hang out with you all the time in Ballymun.
Right.
You can take the Ballymunner out of Ballymun, but you can't take the Ballymun out of Ballymunner.
I think we've talked enough about the guys in the big seats now and all their big wages, yeah?
Yeah.
But like you said earlier on, that's not going to make a difference to us. We're just simply only having a chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably it's nothing got to do with us, so we're probably never going to have a say in it anyway. But look at talking about begrudging Ireland and judging Ireland. Yeah, there's a bit of judging going on, but it doesn't mean if you talk about somebody who's full of greed, it doesn't mean you're begrudging them. It would mean begrudging if you saw, let's say, the ordinary man sort of trying to do right for himself, if you like.
I'm an ordinary
man.
Think nothing special.
I think that's someone to be happy for.
The ordinary man.
And yeah, the ordinary man who's as I said earlier on, trying to climb that ladder and not to be successful, but just to be happy and be able to provide for his family in that.
Yeah,
I think that's lovely. That's the beauty of that side of it. And I think these are people that you have to be happy for and wish them the best of luck in life. What we were talking about for the last hour was the greed side of life. That was
I think the other one is great. The other one for me is community.
Yeah, but the other one we were talking about earlier on was, for me, was that I don't like the greed part of it.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the not caring about people. I don't like the part where you have to pretend to care about somebody, but you have to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Do you understand if it makes any sense? Try doing all these things without getting paid. Try put up good charity shows without getting paid. Try take people on your set and make them feel good and make them feel normal, if you like, without getting paid. Try all of these things without getting paid and without complaining about your wages being cut.
Or by getting paid the average wage.
Even though you're getting more in a year that you'll never be able to spend in a year.
You're getting more in a week.
That's not begrudging.
You're getting more in a week than most people, than the majority of people get in a year.
And there's probably a lot more differences also. Try and do all these good things without having to be getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Put yourself in the poor man's shoes that does a lot of good and doesn't expect no trophies for it. That's what I would say. So that would be a little bit of let's say a little bit of the moral of the story.
The trophies thing is interesting because one of the examples of that, for example, in the world of the trophies is, say, something like the Oscars, you know what I mean, or these big award ceremonies where you've done all the work, you've got paid for it, but still you need to be told.
I think it's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever seen in my life.
It's unreal, isn't it?
It's one of the biggest load of nonsense I've ever seen in my life.
There's loads of them. There's all these award shows are fascinating, but we watch them.
And it makes them feel, honestly, I can't say I watch them because
these working class people watch them.
If I walk into my home, into my caravan, and if it's on the TV, chances are I'll throw an eye on it for a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, whatever it might be. But then the point about it is...
Do you think they would have these big award shows if nobody was watching them?
No, I know that for sure. But what I'm trying to say here is, there is some people on them award shows, and they just turn up for the sake of turning up. They don't mean. So to me, they would be civilized people, because they have jobs as actors, maybe singers or whatever, say, part of work they have in life, and to just turn up because they were sort of invited or they've been nominated or whatever it might be. Some of them, these nominations are very, very important to them, yeah?
Martin, listen to me,
it
right?
Boosts their...
Let's say you worked all year.
It boosts their status.
Let's say you worked all year and you were working with 100 people and everyone was working all year. And there was another 100 people over there.
Now, by the way, we're talking about all these Hollywood actors, yeah?
So I'm just giving you an example. So there's 100 people over there, they're all working, they're doing a job. There's another 100 people over there, they're all working, doing their job. And there's a third group over there. So there's 3 groups of 100 people and they're all doing their jobs, yeah? And everyone's getting paid their wages.
Yes.
And then at the end of the year, we have a fancy room in a hotel, and we take 5 people from each of those groups, we put them into a big room, and we say, out of the 300 people, we've picked you 15, and we're going to give one of yous a special prize. and 285 people all go home, switch on their televisions, and watch these special 15 people get a special prize.
Trophy, yeah.
That's what we're doing. That's basically what we're doing with all these award shows. Because everyone's working, everyone's getting paid, but a few special people get a special award once a year to make them feel very special. And the rest of us watch it.
It's true enough.
So if we don't watch it, these special people who get all these big awards...
They're not special.
They're not special.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
They just have to get on with it like the rest of us, and they'll just have to suffer in their ordinariness.
Yeah.
They'll just have to be, as you said, I am an ordinary man, nothing special, nothing grand. Do you know that song? Oh my God.
It was actually you that said that, Dean.
I'm an ordinary... That's Christy Moore.
Christy Moore is good, isn't he?
I'd love to get Christy Moore on as a guest. I think it'll be really nice. I think like this is episode 8. There's a few people I'd like to get on.
We could have a good old traveller chat because he loves travellers.
Oh, I'd love that.
He's well acquainted with
I'd like
travellers.
Christy Moore. I'd like to invite...
He sings a lot of traveller songs.
He does indeed. I'd like to invite the Lord
And
Mayor.
he sings a lot of Countryman songs.
I'd like to invite the Lord Mayor of Dublin on. I think that would be interesting. There's another few people I'd like. You mentioned Christy Dignan before.
Brilliant, yeah, he'll be good.
There's loads of people I'd just like to sit down with, just chat, shoot the breeze, have the crack with.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So for the time being, we'll just stream on. What do you think?
No, I think we'll start inviting people on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yous out there in
Dean,
podcast land.
You're the man that knows all these people, so I guess you're going to have to make the invitations.
Yeah, but I think you're the attraction.
No, you tell them I said they're welcome.
That's what I'm saying. You're the attraction. They'd be sick and tired of listening to me. You're the attraction.
When you're talking to them, Dean, you said that traveller man said you're welcome. We went on.
And yous out there in podcast land, let us know. This is episode 8. So we're going to have episode 9, episode 10. Then we'll start getting guests on. So let us know who you want us to chat to, what kind of conversations you have. They don't have to be well known. There's a guy on from Ballymun. His name is Shawnee Kinsley. We're going to invite him on. He's actually writing a book. The book is From Crack Rock to the Mountaintop.
Very good. No, we don't need no written scripts or anything. No,
no, we don't. All we done today was set up the room, turn on the microphones, and we just start chatting.
And we just decided to start backbiting people and talking about people and
ripping
for them.
Ripping the heart out of good old Ireland.
Getting the anger of, as Dean calls the rich folk, yeah? The folks.
They earn enough money, they're all right. They'll be grand. I know they're jealous of us anyway with our freedoms.
The best luck to them in all their jobs and all their works.
Best of luck, and thank you.
If that's what keeps them happy, yeah?
Thank you for everything that you've given us over the years.
Long may they continue, yes? So what else do you want to talk about? Any other bit of banter or no? Apart from getting
very
all upset
quickly,
about...
what do you like about Ireland?
All upset about famous people.
Very quickly, what do you like about Ireland?
Well, it's me home, it's my country. That's the one thing I like about Ireland. I think Ireland has changed a lot in the last so many years, you know that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, talk about Ireland. There's a lot of good sceneries in Ireland. There's a lot of good places that I go to in Ireland. Dublin in particular, I think they've took away, let's say, a lot of landmarks from Dublin. Now, you might say to me, what landmarks are they? There was a lot of good things in and around Dublin that it sort of kept, kept Dublin alive. Let's say it kept the Dublin there, if you know what I'm saying, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, they start building Dublin up.
Yeah.
They took away all the old buildings, all the old heritage buildings, is that what you call them, yeah?
Right.
Let's say, when I say sceneries, I don't mean big sceneries like you're looking out over a mountain or stuff like that there. Old stuff, for instance, right? I know I was only young back then, right? But the older people will remember this now. That's in Dublin. You had that hill marker down there, yeah?
Yeah.
That was great crack it was.
Where? What was that?
It was a hill market. It was a market.
Oh, the market down in Hill Street.
They used to throw everything on.
Cumberland Street.
Everything was thrown on the ground.
My dad used to go to that all the time.
People go up in there, sure, everybody used to go to it.
Brilliant.
Travellers and settled
so,
people, everybody.
down in just
if
off Parnell Street.
If you look for an old bargain of any kind, there was always something there. You know what I mean?
Jim Sheridan actually shot at the opening scene of the Commitments
That's right.
on that street.
Down there, that's right. Now, as I said, I was only young back then, but I remember, say, my parents used to go to it and relatives, you name it, between settled people and travellers.
But you could pick up, everything, clothes, shoes, drills, but the banter was great as well.
You could pick up that time, there was an old man there, a traveller, old Big Tommy Mahan.
Yeah.
God rest him. He used to do the carpet down there, and he'd give the people a bit of carpet, and he wouldn't charge them for it. When I say wouldn't charge them, for instance, and I'm talking about, he had a lot of settled community. He had a lot of friends in them. They come to him and ask him for a bit of carpet, and they didn't have to have the money. He'd give them out a bit of carpet, and they'd pay him maybe the next week.
Was that Tommy who was here in Ballymun as well?
Tom Mahan used to be in Ballymun here.
He'd be on the corner there.
A lot of the older people would know him. Yes, that's right. And he'd go down there. He was a big part in that market, to be honest with you.
Was he, yeah?
But then you had a lot of, as I said, between travellers and settled people, they actually run the market. There was like, if you had, say if there was 100 stalls on it, but the beauty of it was, some of them wouldn't have stalls, just throw everything on the ground. You just ramble up and down it, no matter what you were looking for.
So there's one of them, that was a really, old one, but there's one of them in Ballymun actually, of a Sunday at the Trinity Comprehensive School.
No, tradition has gone out of it. It's only an old car boat sale.
Yeah, it's like a car boat sale. It's like a flea market.
I've never been in it now, not even once.
You should go over. You wouldn't be interested, no?
No, because I think the one in town used to be, it became actually traditional. It was there.
There was a culture around it.
It was there that long, yes.
Yeah.
And then you had the people shouting out 10 cents an article, 50p an article, honest. Well, it wouldn't be cents, it'd be 10p an article.
10p an article.
And it was always...
and they just have bits of clothes.
It was always a joke for years and years and years with the old Dublin woman now was shouted out from a mile down. 10p an article, 50p an article. Or whatever, just say it, but that was the crack like.
That was like the girls up on Moore Street and
good.
all.
Moore Street again, that's another... Moore Street was a market again.
Moore Street's amazing.
Yeah, but Moore Street again was a fruit market.
Yeah, fruit and fish.
Yeah, but there's a couple of stalls in it now, but there's nothing there really, is there?
There's a couple of girls who do there. There's the bits involved. There's people who who sell cigarettes and all that. But there's loads of it's not totally.
No, it's not the same. They've built up around it. They've modernised it too much. That's what I think anyway. Could be.
They even want to modernise it more.
I could be wrong. I think they actually want to do away with it completely.
They have these plans, but there's like a 1916 kind of group that are kind of saying, look, this is where our rebellion was. You can't just be wiping this off out of history.
Like for instance, Dublin, talk about Moore Street and the streets connected to Moore Street. It was there were streets of market stalls, and they brought a lot of life into the area. And actually drew people down there, if you know what I'm saying. Like I know the shops down there now, and you have all sorts of shops, and people go into town and one thing or another. Them particular scenes, it is what sort of made Dublin in a certain sense.
And that's from your perspective, and that's the kind of the common man's perspective.
It was lovely.
So what has happened is that the common man has been pushed out, and the upper middle class business people have come in and said, we don't want that common man around here. We don't want that voice, that accent. We don't want those people doing their activities. Some of them are illegal. We can get away with our illegal activities, swindling and tax evasion and avoidance.
That's dealing with the education. It's evasion.
Tax avoidance as well. We can get away with our criminal games, but we don't want these common, poor, working class people playing their games. You just go home and buy our products.
Then you had. No, we're not going to go back into this thing, right?
No, I'm not.
We're going too deep into it. The thing about it is, right?
But it is important. There is parts of our country that we're allowed to
right,
go.
What you're saying, you're coming across to me like the rich man is taking the bread out of the poor man's mouth here, or the poor woman's mouth.
Well, I wouldn't be wrong.
That's what I'm getting from there off you now, right? But anyway, other than that, right? What I was really talking about was. I was talking about the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I was talking about the old, traditional Dublin accents coming from every corner of Dublin. That's what I was talking about. There was a beauty in there, right? Now, you had that on almost every street. Not every street, but there was a couple of main streets down there that they were allowed to do it. They were doing their tradings and they're buying, they're selling and all that stuff. And everybody seemed to enjoy it. There was no, as far as I was concerned anyway, I don't think so, there was no criminal activity involved in it because it was mainly old ladies that was running all the stalls.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? They were giving the orders. They were telling people what to do and what not to do, and grab this or give me that or pass that, or they'd always have someone maybe helping them on the stalls to sort of working with them and telling them what to do.
When I talk about criminal stuff, I talk about you might get a stall that gets some, cheap stuff that, or
like black market stuff.
Black market stuff.
No, but
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there wouldn't have been a lot of that even back then.
Yeah.
Because what they used to do, they'd buy the stuff from the warehouses in Dublin.
From the fruit markets and all
Maybe
that.
someone would go down the north and bring stuff up.
Yeah.
But it was all still, it was a legit thing, if you know what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, and it brought wealth and culture and a bit of life to the city.
It did a lot, being honest about it. It brought a lot. And then the other thing about it was then, so not for me particular, but the people that were down there trading every day, they became family then, because they got to all know each other, if you know what I'm saying. And again, it was all, I won't say all old people, but believe me, it was a majority of old women that ran the stalls.
Yeah.
But then they might have middle-aged people with them also. And it was just something lovely about it.
I remember going down there with
I think
ma.
what just to connect with me was, as I said, I was only young anyway.
Yeah.
But I was only young, but I sort of grew up along to it. Like, was the accent, the Dublin accent.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Being honest about it, it's absolutely.
It's like
beautiful.
it's like it's singing. You know what I mean? I hear Tommy. Have you
There was
got
a
alone
real.
with that old
There
thing
was a
there
real.
now?
How would you call it? The way I can describe it, anyway, I don't know. There was a real deep twist to it.
Yeah,
Like a curl. It was like a curl in the words, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful.
There was a cuddle and a colour in the word.
Like
in the words.
we talked before about Brendan Grace, right?
Yeah.
The comedian, yeah. I love it when he actually, and I know he came from the Liberties and all that, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it was, he had obviously a Dublin accent, right? But I used to love it when he'd imitate the older Dublin accent.
Yeah, he'd tone it up a little bit.
If you know what I'm saying, he'd bring it out there, and I just love listening to that.
And that's what I was saying about this guy, this Southside D4 person who'd come over swim with us. He said, you have the accent and all, and we don't have that. He said, we have this weird...
Oh, is that what you were talking about earlier on? That he was saying to you, yeah.
He was saying, you have this...
So was he from Dublin 4 or what?
He's from Dublin 4, but,
Yeah.
but the accent had been... I don't know, educated out of him or something like that. I don't know the phrase that I'm looking for. But he didn't speak the way he spoke. But when he put his accent on that he was using in this TV show that he was doing, it was my accent.
So you would have thought he came from the same area as you at this stage?
Yeah, but he was putting on a Dublin accent. He's from Dublin.
But he was good at it, was he?
But he had to put on a Dublin accent. And he was talking to us and
But
going...
this is what he was getting paid for.
This is what he was getting paid for. He was getting paid for putting on a Northside accent.
Yeah.
They were kind of jealous of the fact that we had it.
Yeah, but that's like a countryman then trying to put on a traveller accent. I look at all the films they made, traveller films.
Yeah, like what was the one?
No, not all of them, but a lot of them, yeah.
What was the one? Snatch.
Yeah, he was good crack.
That was actually all right.
Do you like dags? What was it? Do you like dags? That was good. Do you like dags?
I think he kind of got away with it.
He could have just changed the one letter. Do you like dogs?
Do you like dogs? Do you like dags? I think he done quite a good job of it.
Yeah, he done all right. He pushed a little bit too far.
So what you're saying to me is one of the things that you like about Ireland, that you like about people, is obviously it's just the scenery, but there's also the people.
Look, if we went down and was to write down a list about Ireland, there's lots of things I love about Ireland.
Yeah.
There's lots of things I love about Dublin. One of the things was I said there, the accent of the Dublin accent is just brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's only very rarely now you get that deep. You'll hear a person talking in that deep accent, that twisty, curly accent.
Yeah.
It's just lovely. I think like everything else, it's slowly changing because it depends what part of the town they come from. I know it's probably all inner city, is it? I think so anyway. We're all that strong.
Yeah. Like my man and dad is from, say, Sherrill Street and East Wall. So
Right.
when I'm with them and I'm around my brothers and sisters, I kind of talk really, really Dublin, really fast, really witty, really cutting kind of accents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're kind of losing that, and I notice, say for example, even in Ballymun, if you get 2 or 3 young people together, they kind of have this weird American TikTok kind of voice, and the real Dublin kind of part in it, where they're slagging and banter and all this type of stuff is being lost. But as soon as I go into town, I'm full on, all right, lads, what's going on? How's it going? Oh, yeah, mad joke, all this type of stuff.
Yeah, you can hear it a mile away, can't you, though?
Yeah, it's great.
It is good.
But it has real substance.
What would you call that? Would you call it a heritage or something like it?
I think it's the culture. There's a poetry in the culture.
Yeah, well, an accent. Yeah, that's the one thing I want to say. An accent actually is a culture, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. The Dublin accent
Well,
is
it's part of a culture.
The Dublin accent, the one that we use.
Yeah.
You know, as kind of north side dubs or whatever like that.
Yeah. Certain parts of, like, if you went out from here to Ballyfermot now,
yeah.
Do you find the accent out there different?
Not really, no. Why?
I would, yeah.
In what way?
For instance, right, you have lads from Tala, you have lads from Clondalk, and you had lads from Ballyfermot, then you have lads from inner city.
Yeah.
Sure, look, we look at the TV there, and we see the Irish films, basically, right?
Yeah.
Look, all the couple of films that Roddy Doyle wrote, and they brought a lot. Now I know it's going back a while because part of it they didn't even have to act; it was there.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying. But when you look at these films, you see a lot of the changes that has become in Dublin. Do you get what I'm saying? If it makes any sense. Looking back, you say, gee, that's changed, this has changed, that looks different, or that sounds different, whatever it might be. Because they tried to live these films up to the reality as much as they could.
Yeah.
Which was the beauty about them.
Blade Jays.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
Ronnie,
that was...
Ronnie Drew, my Dublin.
No, so that was happening. Go back to Ronnie Drew for a second. He had a brilliant accent.
Yeah, so the accents have got
deep,
softer.
curly, yeah, that's right.
And they have also modernised a little bit or whatever, you know?
Yes. I think, let's say it's got a bit plainer.
Yeah.
But not for the right reasons.
No, not for the right reasons. I think there's a lot more depth. Like, there's that kind of towny accent. Like, my niece lives in town, right?
Yes.
And I live out in, I've been in Ballymun, all my life. And when she talks to me, she's straight in, going, "Hey, on you, what you doing?"
She has that.
Straight away.
Is
that's
that because she's
a normal accent all the time. But if I go into town, my accent kind of opens up into that a bit more. You know what I mean? Because you're surrounded by a lot more people who have that.
So you try to blend in with that accent then, basically?
Yeah, but I start to remember my original accent that I had when I was growing up, which was much more like that.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. But that's very easy to happen to people, isn't it?
Yeah, your accent gets smoothed out a little bit. The edges get cut off it. The little peaks and troughs in your accent get removed.
Yeah. What about Northern Ireland accent? What do you think of that?
I love it. I think it's fascinating.
I think it's nice. The
Belfast accent, the Derry accent.
Yeah. Some of them have, again, the same thing as here. Some of them has it stronger.
Yeah.
And some of them has that accent more softer.
And also, like, you're at the same word there, stronger, right? The way you said it. The traveller accent is softened up as well, big time.
Yeah, but see, you could notice that better than I could.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I might think I'm talking in a big Dublin accent, but I know my accent has got an awful lot softer.
Right.
But I definitely know the traveller accent in this country, because I was sitting in the trailer with you earlier on today, and a couple of the boys were around. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have known what you were saying. And today, I understand every single conversation that you're having.
So are you saying you're going stupid? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, I'm going half tick. You're going half blind. The traveller accent, the speed at which you speak and all that is slowing down and getting a bit smoother.
Maybe because that's the one people to listen to them more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even I don't think 20 years ago the traveller voice or the traveller accent that you had would have come across at all on this podcast. People would be saying, "What's he saying? I don't understand what he's saying."
Yeah, I'll tell you where that can come. Now, I'm not saying it does come from.
Yeah.
But chances are that it's a possibility that some of it came from where travellers actually shy to talk. Shy in speaking.
Yeah.
Shy to talk.
Yeah.
Okay? So for basically, right, you have the countryman there, the traveller, and he's talking to them, yeah? And he's getting the words out all fast and stuttery because why? He's actually ashamed to have a conversation.
Yeah. So what's happening here is that you're able to slow this right down.
Well, in a sense, yeah. Are they breaking out with that? That's what I'm trying to say. Do you get what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Now, I'm only using that as I don't know for 100% sure. But if you were around people, yeah, and you were sort of embarrassed to talk, or you were shy,
you pick your words very carefully, I think.
Yeah, but also there's a chance that you might just speak fast and I might understand what you're saying.
You might panic and shit yourself. Yeah, just go.
Do you get what I'm saying to you now?
Yeah.
So that's where maybe some of that comes from.
But there's also, you kind of still have it when I hear you and your young fella say talking, you can just say 15 words in a row.
But we understand each other.
And you understand each other. I'm getting to understand it a little bit more. But
Yeah, I've often got that a few times. I was in England, yeah? It was years ago. And you see, now I'm not slagging off anybody here, right? You'd see Pakistan's talking, right?
Yeah.
Now, Pakistan, England, Birmingham is full of Pakistans, right?
Yeah.
And they could be having a sensible chat and you think they were actually fighting. Obviously, you wouldn't understand it as a different language.
Yeah.
But if you could understand, if they were speaking in English, you still were thinking.
But that's like the elements of Moore Street. Here, love, what are you looking for there?
Yeah, that's right. All fast.
Do you want a bit cod there?
You think they were fighting even if you could understand them. You think but they're only having a sensible chat.
Yeah.
Because they're talking fast. But yeah, back to Moore Street again. You'll probably get that in Moore Street as well sometimes. And sorry, what was that? You don't
what are you looking for, love? You all right
Before
there,
you
love?
knew, you got wrapped an orange or an apple.
They'd speak at twice the speed of yours, and they'd ask you 3 questions in one. What are you looking for there, love? You all right there, love? Where you going? And you'd be like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. But I
Get
think
your bangers there, 5. What are they?
we'll probably get
Get
this
your sparklers there, love.
You'll probably get this in, as I said about the northern voice. Some of them has lovely accents.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, yeah.
It's mad. One of the things I like about Ireland, it's mad for the size.
Now, don't
of
get
us.
me wrong. Some of the Northern Ireland voices you can barely understand them. You know that.
Yeah, and then it goes.
I thought travellers were bad.
And then it goes up into Scotland, and there's
Talking
parts
about
of
myself
Scotland you need.
Scotland.
Even as Irish people, we'd need subtitles. Like.
Yeah, that's right. Sure. Did you ever look at I often looked at all YouTube there at certain bits and pieces, and the subtitles beyond because you can barely make out what they're saying.
I made a documentary here, and it went to America and a few other say film festivals around the world, and they had subtitles on it, and it was just me and a couple of lads from Finglas.
Why did you put subtitles on it?
I didn't, but the director did because it was going to a different country. But we were speaking English, but in an Irish Dublin accent. But it went to America and Australia and all that, and so she sent me the version with subtitles, and they got loads of the words wrong now and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the reason is they're it's happening 9 out of 10 the subtitles are wrong because they have to write it up fast.
Yeah.
To keep with the words.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if they could slow down the motion, they might need subtitles.
Oh, funny. That's one of the things I love about Ireland is the different accents, the different slangs, colloquialisms. Like
Dean,
Kerry
hold up
accents.
there for 1 second, please. What does colloquialism mean? Could you rephrase? Rephrase that?
It's like
and give me a small bit of an explanation, please.
I'll give you one example. There's a phrase. There's a phrase that you might use in up in St. Margaret's, right? That's only used in that one area. That mightn't be used anywhere else, and that's a local colloquialism.
Like get the heck out of here.
Something like that.
We learned that off Eddie Murphy. Get the heck out of here.
That would be an American one. You know what I mean? So you would have different phrases. I'm trying to think of one for Ballymun. Yuppa. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a Dublin one.
I think that's your one, Dean, though, is it?
I don't know. I think McGregor made it famous.
Did he do that one? Yeah.
Yeah, but I like it. I think it's great. I think it sounds like get up out of that and yes, all in the same kind of thing. Yeah, yes, like yup, like that.
I need better than that, Dean. No, I need something better than that, honestly. Sometimes I need a bit of convincing, you know that.
Stall it, snap out, cop onto yourself.
What? Crowgy soup, that's a bit of cant, you know that.
What was that?
Crowgy.
It's crowgy.
In other words, if you were saying too much, making a fool of yourself,
and
I was talking to somebody and there was someone sensible there, and you just kick in with your words, I'd say crowgy soup, like stall.
Stall.
In other words, keep it close, stay quiet.
Bug the Innick. That's what my brother likes that one.
Bug the Innick would be Robinson, wouldn't it?
Bug the Innick is kind of like hide that thing there.
Bug that soup, did you put it on crowgy,
Yeah.
Put the Innick, push the Innick out of the way or something, whatever.
Push the Innick, bug the Innick there, boss.
But crowgy would be a good one, all right.
So they're local colloquialisms.
Is that what a colloquialism is? Yeah,
something like that.
So is a colloquialism a word? Is that what you're saying to me, Dean? Because you're confusing me very bad with your colloquialism.
It's just like
whatever
a local
it means.
word, yeah.
But what is the meaning of the word?
It's like a local dialect.
What's a dialect?
Certain words that only exist in a certain area that only people in that area use and understand.
Or understand. So I'm lost for that one then. Right, what was colloquial? I want to know what that was.
That is the word to use to describe that type of thing.
But what does the word itself mean? That's what I want to know. Come on, Dean, you're actually educated on me here.
We're going down the rabbit hole.
I just told you I left
now.
school at 12. So now I'm asking you to learn me what that word is.
You know when you go underneath the bottom of a Honda 100 and there's a little...
A Honda what?
Honda 100.
What's a Honda 100?
And there's a Honda 100 is like
what the heck? We're getting...
Honda 100 is like two Honda 50s.
It's worse.
And there's like a little jiggling pin.
So you're on the two motorbikes, yeah?
There's like a jiggling pin on the bottom of the Dutney percolator.
Wow, isn't it?
So you get a spring sprung there, and you put a bit of waxing cloth onto that.
Yeah.
And what you do is you rub that between two
cogs.
Cogs, there you go.
Yeah.
And what happens is you get another thing that happens.
Movement in the engine.
You get movement in the engine there. And then all you have to do is turn it on to click, and you're in.
That's the key part of it.
That's the key.
That doesn't explain what that word meant. I want to know what that word meant.
I was trying to avoid confusion.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you off that word, right? The next time you go up with a silly word around me, you're going to have to explain it, okay?
It's a thingamabob.
I think I let you off a few times as well with them words. There were certain sort of words that you don't even know what you're... that you don't even understand what it is yourself.
Martin, transviloquist, you said a couple of weeks ago.
Whoa! Transviloquist. A transveliquist, is it?
It was like a transvestite ventriloquist.
A ventriloquist, Dean. You got that word wrong.
You said transviloquist.
I said a ventriloquist. What's a ventriloquist, Dean? Now, I can tell you what a ventriloquist is.
Yeah.
You need to tell me what a transveliquist is.
A transviloquist is a ventriloquist on a train. It's going nowhere.
So you got out of that one there, yeah?
Yeah. I reversed out of that one quickly.
So what's the next thing to talk about? And let's talk about because
the next thing is that's episode 8 done and dusted in the bag. Yeah.
How long are we up there now? How long is that?
We're there long enough actually.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Time to go home.
All right.
Sing us out with a song there.
Say cheerio, folks. Go on, Dean, that lovely posh voice that you have from Malahide.
Cheerio, folks.
No, say it a bit better than that. Go on,
what was the song you were singing on the way in? You were singing...
I sing loads of songs.
No, you were singing one on the way in. Going
Dean,
around the mountain, is it?
If you were paying me to sing a song, I couldn't sing. I don't know how to sing.
What's that one we're going around the mountain?
I don't know. Where are we going?
You do know it. What's it? You were singing earlier on.
Going around the mountain.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
That's the wagon and the horse and the cowboy.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. Coming around the mountain. Coming around the mountain when she comes.
Dean, I don't mean to offend you in any way, but I think I told you this before. If you have a day job, stick with it. I'm telling you now.
Episode 8. See you soon. So that's us for this episode, a Traveller and a Countryman podcast. If you like it, let us know, share it around, and we'll see you on the road.